Today we have the privilege of sitting down with Maria Allewelt. Maria has just come back from Kenya, and she has a lot to share with you about her heart for Kenya and also what God has done in her ministry in Kenya. Maria, welcome back from Kenya. We're glad to have you here. So what's going on in Kenya? Tell us about what happened.
Well, it's really good to be here, I need to say. And the first thing right in front, I want to say thank you really very much for praying me back. That was quite an adventurous thing for me to go through, and so I realized that the prayer of the people, my friends at home, really brought me back. It was very obvious in the details of all of that. So first, thank you so much for all of it.
Maria, just remind us, when you go to Kenya, where are you serving? What town are you close to? And how many people live there?
So I work near Mombasa, which is on the coast of Kenya, in a smaller village that's called Ukunda. This is a small town near Tanzania on the southern part. It's about 30 miles from Mombasa. And these are many different villages. They have grown together into a town with about 10,000 people. It's called Ukunda.
So what keeps you going back to Kenya?
That sometimes I ask myself the question, because it is true. There are disappointing things in mission work, and there are really good things about it. But when I narrow it down, I think it is because God calls me back, and I think God has given us the Great Commission, and that's not just a suggestion, that's a real mission that He asked us to fulfill. And so the love that He gave me for the people is what drives me back. So that's why I think I'm going back. The love of God compels me. And so it's a wonderful thing to actually be partnering with God in that way.
When you go, where do you work and how do you partner with God in the mission work that He has for you in Kenya?
My primary focus are women and children in Kenya, and education is one of the keys for people to be self-sustaining, and so I work with a vocational school, and so that is a great way for me to come alongside in that school and educate the girls. I teach life skills there, and I go also to other schools where I teach young people, high school students, about life, how to make decisions. I think our decisions define our destination, and when we know how to make really good decisions, we're really better placed in life to have successful and well-balanced lives. And the other part that I do is going to a primary school also to teach children, and mainly the gospel. And in all what we do, I really want to bring in the gospel and show the kids, the girls, the women, that God is really a God of love who cares for them and calls them to relationship or into a relationship with Him.
Why don't you tell us about your most recent trip? What happened?
This last trip, the highlight of my trip was in the vocational school that I do teach during the week, the life skills. And half of the girls, I should say that, half of the girls are Muslims and half of the girls are Christians. So, and on Sundays I'm invited to join them in their service, Sunday morning service, and then normally I preach as well during that time. And this time I was talking about the righteousness of God and about the doctrine of the great exchange, where Jesus becomes sin so that we can become God's righteousness. And so that just this theological truth of that Jesus came to be sin for us, and that we then in exchange get the righteousness of God. That was an incredible truth that really rang true for the girls. And so at the end of the sermon, I asked them if anybody wants to stay back, if they want to have prayer and rededicate their life to Jesus, or for the first time want to follow Jesus. 12 girls stayed behind, and that was really incredible. And we were there kneeling down on a cement floor and praying that God would take over their lives, confessing our sins and inviting Jesus into our hearts. I think these are these are these moments that makes it worthwhile to take everything, all the sacrifices that are involved when you have this experience of people understand, girls understand more of God's love for them personal. So that, I think, was absolutely the highlight of my time there. So overall, it was a really fruitful trip. The end was definitely different than what I expected, but that is our God. He always has good surprises for us, and so I'm glad to be on his team and work alongside him. So thank you so much, North Park Church. It was good to be sent out by you and also be received by you again. And I do need to say, I miss the church, and I'm looking forward when I can hug you again. Bye.
Maria, thanks so much for coming in. I always appreciate hearing your heart for the people of Kenya, and I hope our hearts can be just as passionate about the people around us. North Park, I want to thank you too for supporting your local church, because by supporting us, you help support people like Maria, keeping her on the front lines of the mission field.